this is Steve Walker, Chair of the Pacc. I'll do a roll call to confirm that all members and persons anticipated are present and can hear me. When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Peter, I'm just doing the order there on the screen. Peter.
Here.
Steve.
Here.
Jeff.
Here.
Faith.
Here.
And Joe as a staff member.
Here.
Good afternoon, Eve. Good evening. I'll pick that one. In accordance with the requirements of the Open Meeting Law, please be advised that this meeting is being recorded and broadcast over the Lunenburg Public Access Channel, and this meeting of Pacc is being conducted remotely. In response to the COVID-19 virus, currently following the guidance from the Lunenburg Board of Health, Mass Department of Public Health, and the CDC regarding the virus and steps communities can take to prevent the spread. In accordance with the governor's order, all public meetings are being conducted remotely. I believe that's slightly out of date now. Okay, for this meeting, Pacc is convening via Zoom, as posted on the town's website, identifying how people may join. The meeting is being recorded, and attendees are participating by video conference. Be aware that other folks may be able to see you. Take care not to screen share anything that you broadcast may be captured by the recording. First item on the agenda actually is roll call. All votes will be taken by roll call. If there are public comments, the chair will ask for members of the public who wish to speak. Okay, everybody good with that? Seems that if you can have public comments as a member of the committee as well, and there's no member of the public here. So if anyone has anything relevant to the committee, I was wondering about the TC Passios on Saturday, Steve, if we wanted to say anything about that.
Basically, they okayed the $53,000 to study demolishing the building.
Okay, so it's still going on, but it's unlikely to be finished in this decade, right?
It won't be finished in a year, no.
I said decade, but okay, we'll go with year for the time being.
2 decades.
Now, Peter. Anyone, any other public comment? Hearing none, going to the minutes. Does anyone have any comments on the minutes?
I before you logged in, Faith, I mentioned that I made the correction that you sent.
Okay, thank you.
What was that?
It was just a typo.
There's an extra apostrophe. And
That-
Jeff is not listed on the,
Uh,
Jeff is not listed on the present members.
Where's the extra apostrophe?
On 2 videographers will be hired.
Okay,
And you're right, Jeff was not mentioned on the people present despite the fact he did the minutes. That's cool.
yeah, let me have my name. Totally slipped.
Any further comments? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion to accept the minutes as adjusted. modified,
moved.
whatever.
Second,
Second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say
Aye.
aye. Pete,
aye.
Steve, Faith, Jeff.
I
You have to say aye, you wrote the damn thing. Okay, as such, they are accepted. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, the manager's report. So Joe, you're up.
Okay, again, not in priority order, just some activities this month. I did mention last meeting that we were finishing up football and we finally finished it up on Veterans Day holiday. It went really, really well. and w- we hope to do more in the future. Right now, I am doing performance evaluations for 5 videographers. I have a couple of rough drafts, and I'd like to at least start it by week 3 in May. So that's in process. One of the 2 videographers that we need to hire is a senior videographer, and we are going to do interviews of 2 candidates, hopefully this week. We're waiting to hear back from HR when those interviews will be set up, but they'll be conducted by the HR manager, who is Julie Beliveau, and Steve Walker, and myself. So we're working on that. I mentioned last meeting that Eric is working on resurrecting the news. He's chosen to spend studio hours to accomplish this, doing a production calendar, and he's been working with Kayla very closely to get some news items pulled together for the first broadcast, which I hope will come this month. I need to get an update from him, but
Weekly or bi-weekly or fortnightly?
I don't know what a fortnight is, so let's go with that.
15 days.
It's 2 weeks,
It's going to be monthly.
monthly. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yep. We have the Memorial Day scheduled on our calendar. I forgot to put it on the calendar I sent to you, but we'll have 3 cameras there, and that's going to be on May 31st.
May 31st.
Yeah,
Is that out of doors?
it's going to be in Veterans Memorial Park.
Okay,
And yes, it will be outdoors. It starts at 10. I'll have everyone there by 9. We'll have 3 cameras.
3 cameras and 3 CPU, or just 3 cameras recording and then I edit it?
The latter,
Okay,
yes. Oh, I forgot to mention, we successfully recorded town meeting on Saturday. It went for 6.5 hours.
oh, excellent.
Yeah, it was a long one, but we did a 4 camera shoot.
Yeah.
And we could have done it live, but the town manager doesn't want it done live, so. And speaking of which, I'm now editing the footage to put on DVDs for the town manager. And I expect that to be done, hopefully. The conversion of the files take a long time, but I'm hoping by the end of the day tomorrow, I can have her 5 DVDs to her.
Right, so they're $10 each, right?
Yeah. The production technician, we delayed hiring in FY21, but we're going to hire a production technician in FY22. So I discussed this with the human resource manager, and we came up with a rough estimate on dates of advertising. I know a couple of meetings ago, you wanted to know the process. Basically, the process will be advertising in a number of different places, has to be a minimum of 10 days. And that's the bottom line. It has to be advertised for 10 days. So we are going to advertise on Indeed, on the Lunenburg Ledger, and on Mass Access. So, and that's a 20-hour-a-week position.
With benefits.
With benefits.
Yeah.
So.
It makes a big financial difference.
Yes. That is all. Well, we're starting to research some lighting for the studio. Eric's been really helpful with that, and we're going to look into some options. So that's in progress.
But they can't be wall or ceiling mounted at this point.
Right. We're going to have to be creative with that.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is it. I will be taking some vacation days in May and June before the end of the fiscal year because I lose it if I don't. So I'll keep you up to date on when I'll be in and when I won't be in. And another note, we just picked up a new program from FATV called Forks Over Fitchburg. It's been hyped quite a bit and that's going well. I'm putting on the second episode probably tomorrow. So that's going well. That's on Channel 9. As far as the documents I sent to you, I just reviewed what we did in April as far as football and we did our regular meetings. And then in May, we don't have anything out of the ordinary, mostly meetings. But Kayla's been trying to come up with different projects to help with the news or just air on Channel 9. She's been very enthusiastic and really digging for stories and different projects she can do. So
You
she's
should
been,
encourage that. That's good. I
yeah,
like that.
she's doing very well. Scott Finnegan is working on a project as well. So those I expect to come in or his project, I expect to come in May. So that's with the calendars.
What's Charles, what's his project? Do you know?
Well, he was working on a couple, I think it's one, a history project. It was a Zoom lecture. So I have to, I can get the details for you. He mentioned it a couple of weeks ago, but it was a lecture series.
On the history of Lunenburg or just?
No, another, I'll have to get you that information.
Right.
I totally forgot what it was. As far as program analysis, we're at 73% access share, which means downloaded programs. Non-local programs, we're at 63. 63 is the total number, but it's actually 73% of our Channel 9 programming. And we're at 27% local programming on Channel 9, which equals 23 programs. Doesn't look good, but the total number of programs is acceptable in my mind because I think we got, well, we had well over 100 last year.
Mhm.
So, we may not reach that, I'm not sure, but that's our numbers so far for a public station.
I was wondering, Peter Link, you might be able to help with this one. Do you think a cooking show done at the senior center kitchen would work?
I'll be honest, I'm not in favor of kitchen shows. I think they're extremely difficult. We did one with some folks across the lake. It involves a tremendous amount of work, incredible amount of editing, especially. Like Talking Baseball, 0 edits. When you do a cooking show, there's a lot of time in between.
Yeah.
And when we went over to Drake, they had a kitchen and they have never used it for anything but their lunch. I'm not, so don't ask me about kitchen shows. I'm not in favor of them.
Okay.
I
I
think
thought La Tabella was popular.
that was a very, very good show. Yeah. But
I
It
mean,
needs to
because
be
we don't have,
multi-camera.
it looks like we're not getting a studio anytime soon. I'm just trying to think of other facilities where we might be able to do some local programming.
I think that's critical because we're going to get, if they demolish that building, we
Yeah,
won't have a studio for a while. And
right.
we should be thinking now of where we can relocate.
I agree. At least for doing local shows.
Right.
well, I agree with Peter and cooking shows are very time consuming. However, I do like cooking shows, and I think that if we bring a production coordinator or technician in to manage something like that, it would probably be doable if we had the people. I'm not sure we have enough people right now.
Multi-camera typically, right?
Mhm.
But I didn't have my question answered. Where are we going to move to?
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a very good question to put on the agenda for next meeting, because I would love some ideas on that, because we are threatened, yes.
Yes.
'Cause I know way back when I was first involved in this, there was room in the Ritter to set up. And as far as I can see, Ritter is not about to be torn down and is very underused, so that's a possibility.
Hmm.
Is there a possibility of getting a tour of Ritter for us to look at it, Joe?
We could, I think the Ritter is very antiquated. I don't know what kind of power they have available. I know it's very dark in there.
Very damp.
It's very choppy. I could never ever see it as a studio, but if you want to go look, I can set that up.
Well, where else could we go, Joe?
What about, I haven't been to the Historical Society, but do they have any
No, absolutely.
room? No.
No.
Well, what about Brookfield House, Brooks House, whatever?
No.
No, I'm just putting it out there.
No.
We were in there before. They
Oh,
could not,
really? Okay.
yeah, they could not take the power load. It's antiquated. It's very old.
There's no room big enough.
No, there's no rooms big enough.
Is there any place in the library?
That they would let us stay? I don't think so.
Have one room? I mean, that's all we have at
You
the
know,
school.
there's space above the safety center, but it's not ADA. There's no elevator to get up to it. And
Uh-huh.
also, I think sirens might be an issue when we're recording.
Yeah.
And depends what we're recording.
You do cop
Well,
show.
we should all put our thinking caps on and try to have this discussion next time for sure.
Well, Steve brought up a good point. Even if we looked at a commercial facility, that's not being used, it's still, the rental is going to be astronomical.
Yeah.
And once you
Utilities,
get set
everything,
up,
yeah.
it's hard to undo it. There's a lot of work involved.
And
Yeah.
We have to
and-
look at the whole picture.
Well,
Yes.
we're already, how much are we paying? 6,000 a year for
6,000 a year, 500 a month.
TC Passios?
Right, that's for
For one
900 square feet.
classroom.
Yeah,
Well, I think it's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of input to come up with someplace.
so everyone explore the town and come up with options for the next
Yeah.
meeting.
Yeah, just a dumb question, but does the studio need to be in Lunenburg? Just for, the, like, in between time.
It was a temporary studio, you mean?
Yeah.
I don't know, that's an interesting question.
Just keep in mind that they're studying the possibility of demolition, and that it'll be probably at the next town meeting where they will discuss whether they're going to renovate or demolish. So
You're
there is
talking of the
time to
November
figure this out.
meeting, right?
Say again?
The November meeting you're talking about.
It could be next spring. I'm not
That's
sure.
what,
Do you know, Heather might know, but that was just approved, so I don't even know if they've started that paperwork yet. I just wanted you to know that they were going to look into it, so that we
Yeah.
as a group can keep that in the back of our mind, that maybe we might have to find a spot as an interim spot for a little while.
What about a Quonset hut rental or something?
Actually, there are portable buildings. It's one issue that
Yeah.
we could look into, but typically they don't have much height in them. That can be an
True.
issue for a studio with lighting and microphones.
We would still need a place to put it, right?
Yep.
Well, there's space around. I mean, I
Yeah.
got 40 acres behind me, but there's no power there.
Yeah,
It's
you do.
Conservation land. And, finding some space for it may be less of an issue because
Yeah.
maybe there's some space around TC patios we could put it on. I don't know, but
Yeah.
less of an issue. But getting them in, getting them powered, they typically would need air conditioning because they're not
Yeah.
particularly well insulated.
Right.
But it's certainly we should leave it on the docket. So
Yep. Something to consider.
Quonset huts are a kind of an old-fashioned approach, but it's kind of fun because they're curved.
Yeah. I know some schools use them, when they run out of space and
Yeah,
It would
I
be-
take it the high school has absolutely no space at all, right?
Oh, no,
I mean, I was just assuming that. Thank you.
Quonset hut would be an interesting echo or sound
Right.
bouncing, because if you
It
get
really-
really spots, it'll focus the sound to the other side. You know what I mean? There's the possibility of nodes.
It really focuses the sound if you stand in just the right place, the focal
My
point of the
classroom-
curve.
My classroom at the middle school, there was a spot that happened.
Oh, really?
It was kind
It
of
was
interesting.
it was sci-fi show, Steve.
Yes,
was-
there you go.
But where most of our programming, like you're talking baseball and some other shows are interviews, or when we've had political candidates come and talk about, we didn't need a huge studio. I mean, we've managed with a small classroom that we had, but this, could give us a breather from having to chase down some property.
Well, everyone put on thinking caps and bring it to the next meeting if you would,
Okay.
please.
Okay.
Thank you. And Jeff on the agenda, please. Joe, finances or something.
Yes, we'll go to finances. In April, the only expenses were salaries and videographer payroll. Excuse me. In March, it wasn't reported last meeting because it just hit the report recently. But there was interest of $295.21 that was added to the March numbers. So we did have a couple of expenses in April that didn't hit the books yet. And that was the main thing was the purchase of some HDMI cables. We needed some 20-foot HDMI cables. So the reports are pretty basic with just those two expenses. And our current balance is $796,059.
Yeah, weren't we supposed to get some indirect costs back from Karen Brochu?
She's going to do that in May. She's going to do that this month.
Okay, because I'm not seeing it here, because that's like
Right.
30-odd thousand coming back to us, right?
Now,
Yes.
is that the money that the Commonwealth is giving us for what we've had to do because of COVID?
No, that's the
No.
money that was taken out in July, anticipating a new part-time employee with benefits. And it includes Joe's benefits, so.
Okay.
Yes. So that is it as far as the balances. My numbers checked out perfectly fine, but they did not check out with the town financial report. They were off by about $185. So I'm going to be working with Karen to fix that. So that's an estimate of the balance. And one other thing I forgot to mention, when I was at a get together on April 20th, I met a person who was interested in doing a show on Reiki. So I was supposed to meet with her last week and it conflicted with something. So I'm going to try to meet with her this week. So we may have a new producer pretty soon, which would be great.
Yeah.
What's the subject?
Reiki.
Reiki,
What's that?
It's
it's a healing,
yeah.
yoga kind of healing by touch, and I don't know it all, but I
Yeah.
believe it started in Japan, and it's
a
it's
holistic.
like- it's like a meditation. The person meditates over you and touches you like where your power points are, like your chai, or I'm making a mess of this, but anyway, it's
You
You're-
have
it's a
lost,
Far Eastern.
you've
you're-
lost me 150%.
your
It's
chakras.
Yeah, it's a Far Eastern healing method.
Yeah, we're going to see how it will translate in our little studio. I'm not
Yeah,
sure
we
how
used
we're
to
going
have
to
a
do it.
yoga show,
Yeah.
remember?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'll be meeting with her hopefully soon. And that's all I have. If anybody has any questions.
Joe, you've got down story time for the 20th. If you line people up,
Not yet, but I will.
because I've talked to you a couple times about trying to get a core of people to do this.
Right.
I see you put the fortunes back on.
Yeah, I'm doing some reruns until we get the next
Because
couple of episodes.
I'd already talked to them about doing their second show, so,
Yeah, the 20th would be great for them to come in.
okay.
And Jamie is going to do it as well. I'm trying to talk him
good.
into doing a couple of books, and I have a couple of other people in mind that I'm going to ask. And Jamie
Okay.
said he would be a reoccurring reader.
Okay, because the 6, Amy and Diane Riley, Deb and I, and the Fortunes would be our 6. They all agreed to do multiple talks, and they're all
Okay.
good.
Okay,
Who
Great.
selects the books?
We do.
the readers.
And they varied from 80 years old to recent. So
But there's no duplication, or who coordinates that?
Not yet.
Okay,
If there is a duplication, we would ask them to choose another book.
Yeah.
okay,
It's plenty to choose from.
yeah, there are.
And we're all set for a talk of baseball, Joe. Jason and I have been putting a lot of work into this one.
Yeah,
We're all set for the 5th.
for the 6th.
6th, right,
Yep, 5 p.m.
right, great.
Everybody good?
Yeah,
Thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Now we enter a strange phase of reappointment reviews. What I believe makes the most sense, and I'm open to discussion on this before we do it. We have 3 people up for review. Presumably they would abstain from voting, but presumably they should each be allowed to speak if they want to. Are people okay with that, or do we need recusal, or people leave the room, or anything like that? I'm just trying to do it as openly and as honestly as we can. So,
well, we can mute ourselves or something. I mean, leaving the room would be difficult.
I
a
know, I
Zoom
was,
meeting.
Excuse me, Steve. I've been
Yeah.
through this 15 times with various committees.
Yeah.
And usually we've all submitted a form to the committee. They
right,
should have
which
all
we all
read
have.
that.
Right,
And then you just vote on whether or not you accept us. And then you have to pass that on to the select board, and then they
Mhm.
have to accept us.
Right.
okay. Peter, do you know if people voted for themselves or did they abstain?
No, we abstained, so you've only got 2 people.
3. No, we got
Two.
4 people.
Or,
We,
yeah,
we do one at a time and
I
vote
thought,
on them
I thought
individually.
I thought there were 3 people that were up.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
we do
but
them
4
one
can
at a
vote.
time.
What?
So when only one person abstains at a time, so we've got enough.
Okay,
Oh, okay. All right, that's
Okay.
not the way usually done, because if you're up for yourself, your committee is up, you don't vote on any of them.
Oh, well, you're still live committee member right now.
Fine, but that's just not our usual protocol, that's all.
Well,
This
we
is a
don't
very
have a
small-
quorum. If we
this
do
one
it,
is-
what,
It's because this is a small committee.
yeah,
right,
Senior
if you do
senator.
that, we don't have a quorum,
The
so,
senior senate is 11 people, so there's never a problem.
yeah.
right. No, if there are a lot more people,
Yeah, okay.
why don't we'll do them one at a time in the order I have them stapled in front of me. If anyone has any comment, or Peter, you're saying we just go straight to a vote on each of them, so.
Yes, yes.
Are we okay doing that? Everybody okay? That is a process. Okay, so the first one that I have is some guy called Pete Lincoln. Hopefully
Hey,
you've all,
Steve,
yeah.
only my mother calls me Peter.
Oh, I'm sorry,
It's
Mr. Lincoln.
It's because it has a word that sounds like genitalia. And so I've always been embarrassed by it.
I'm sorry.
Can I be frank? So I'm Pete.
I see you, Pete, but when we first met you, you said any of them were fine. That was
No, I
quite a
didn't.
while back.
You mistook.
That's also highly likely, or I forgot. So, okay.
I make a
Stepping back
motion.
one step, that does anyone have anything to comment on the application to continue to serve your community, reappointed to Pacc for Pete Lincoln?
I make a motion to accept his application for reappointment and recommend it to the Board of the Select Board. Yes,
I'll second it.
Any further commentary? So I actually go.
I think Pete's knowledge of the town is, and him being on many other committees is definitely a benefit for our committee.
yes.
Absolutely, I agree with that 100%. A valuable member, and thank you for your service so far, Pete. So, voting, Pete, you're abstaining,
I'm
right?
abstaining, yes.
You need to say that, though.
Abstain. Recuse.
Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Faith,
I,
and myself, aye. So, thank you, Pete. At least you got this far.
Yeah.
Next step
And that-
is
What you have
putting-
now to do is to send these packages to
Right.
these to the select board.
Yep.
And unless there's someone else, because did you check to make sure there were no other candidates for this position?
I haven't been sent any, and that's the only
Okay.
way I find out.
'Cause that's the only time there's a problem, if there's another
Right.
candidate.
Well, at the town meeting, they said there were 3 openings on the Public Access Committee.
Yeah, so there weren't any more than.
Okay,
Thank you.
so that's approved. No, thank you, actually. It's the other way around. The second one I have is somebody called Faith Beal, I believe it is. So, Steve,
I'll entertain a motion to reappoint Faith and to contact the select board.
I'd like to second that very much.
okay. Anyone have any further comments? As with Pete, useful, valuable member of the committee, and we thank you. You've been on for 6 years now, haven't you, Faith? Or is it just 3?
probably 6.
I think it's 6.
Yeah,
But anyway, just on the record, the committee is thanking you. So we'll vote on this one. Pete,
Aye, plus.
Steve,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Faith,
abstain.
and I vote for as well. So that's as we expect. And thank you very much. I appreciate it. I will send that one back to the select board as well.
Thank you.
Then the third one, which getting easier now, is somebody called Steve, but it's not me. It's is anyone having read the Faith?
I make a motion to accept the reappointment of Steve to the committee and to recommend it to the select board.
I second that.
Thank you. Jeff, when you do the minutes, make sure you put Steve A or Steve Archambault.
I just hopefully spelt his name correctly. But,
Thank you.
yeah.
Just to avoid confusion.
Yep.
Any further comments? I would also like to thank Steve so far and hopefully to continue, especially anytime we get anywhere near close to audio issues. He's
Yes,
a mine of useful information.
yes.
I'm a mine of useless information. So by roll call vote, sorry, Steve.
Sorry.
Pete, I'm sorry. Get used to it. Pete,
Aye.
Jeff,
I
Faith,
I,
Steve,
Abstain.
and I vote for as well. So the committee as a whole is thanking you, and I'll send that on to the select board for final approval. So,
May I
Joe,
ask?
did you want to say
Yeah,
something?
may I
Yes.
ask a question?
Sure.
Pete and Faith, their paperwork has a stamp received, but Steve Archambault, his document does not have a stamp received.
I did email it to Elaine and she said, thank you.
Oh, okay, so that's been received. Okay,
That's the stamp, apparently.
okay.
No,
so
good point.
question, how long is it, a 2-year or 3-year commitment?
It's a 3-year term.
It's a
You
3-year
and I
term.
were both
We
appointed
did it
at the
last
same.
summer, right?
Well, I don't remember when we last went through it, but the process seems to have changed slightly, but that's fine.
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion, Steve?
Absolutely, I would love that.
This is somewhat awkward when you have 3/5 of the committee coming up at the same time.
yeah,
Correct.
Every other committee I've been on has staggered it, so you never have more than 2 at a time. Like the selectmen have 2, 2, and 1.
Mm-hmm.
The way we're setting up now, that there's a possibility that you'd have 3 people that either don't decide not to return, which would make
The committee doesn't want them back, right? Yeah.
yes, seriously. So if some way could figure out the stagger, there's 2, 2, 1, and maybe make one of these 3 terms we just had a shorter term.
yeah.
It might make it more fluid for us to try to go through
Right.
these changes.
It
So
makes a
you'll always
world
have
of
a
sense
quorum.
with 5 members. If we did 2, 2, and 1, would make much more sense and allows you to have a sensible quorum as well each
Right.
time you
Yes.
vote on it.
Yes.
Well, that
So-
would be a change in the charter.
So why don't I add that to the note that gets sent to the select board? Because this doesn't make sense. If they turn around straight away, then Jeff and I are on the same cycle, I believe.
So that means there's 1 year, there's no one.
Well, 2, 2, and 1 we can do, but,
Yes, but if it's two- if
all
it's-
3 of you are on the same
If
cycle.
it's currently
Yeah.
2 and 3, that means there's 1 year with no one.
Yeah,
Right, but 2, 2,
to
and
be
1 lets you
reappointed. Yeah,
have
Two and
one
one
every.
Right, that's what I'm suggesting.
Right, but one of you 3 at this point, I think would get appointed for 2 years instead of 3. My suspicion is they won't take action on it straight away. Okay, I will add that. So,
Let me do this. Pacc. I have the charter. I was gonna look to see if I could find where. Pacc, is it listed as Pacc in the charter? committees. Go ahead, you keep going. I'm just gonna do a quick look.
Okay. If you find anything of consequence, maybe you could share it
I
without
will.
comment to the committee. Okay, anyone else have anything to bring to the committee at this point? I see the next meeting is scheduled for June the 7th. And I have a question for everybody, and that is, should we do that in person, hybrid, or stay with Zoom?
Well, what's the, I guess the state regulations for the town? Can we start meeting in person?
I believe so. And the studio has plenty of space to spread out. I mean, I know a lot of us are vaccinated. I don't know if everyone is, and that's personal to each individual. My preference, if I can throw it out there, is meet in person. If there's anyone uncomfortable with that,
I'm
Joe will.
100% in favor of that. I think we
Okay.
accomplish a lot more than trying to
Oh,
see
yeah.
speaking in the little circles here.
Steve, do you have a comment on it?
No,
Oh, okay. Faith?
I'm just trying to
I
find.
have,
public
I have a
access.
comment that in the winter, when it gets dark early and it's very icy and I feel very unsafe coming in person to the meetings.
Let's address that in the winter, seeing that it's May
Okay,
at the
I mean, I
moment.
have no objection in the, summer
In the
months, but
Okay. Jeff? Hello, Jeff. Oh, you're
No,
there.
I have no, um, I'm not opposed to meeting in person. Like Joe said, I believe, the studio is spacious, so we can spread out.
Right.
I mean, in the summer months, if we want to bring chairs and just sit in the grass outside the studio, that's fine, because I know that studio is hot in the summertime. So it's really, I mean, whatever people want, I'm fine with.
Joe, do you have anything to say on this? Because you would need to be there as well.
No, I could do either way. I'm happy on Zoom and I'm happy in person. So
Okay.
Happy lady.
Why don't we have the June meeting in person unless there are changes in the legislation that say we're not allowed to? If that's the case, Jeff, you can go back to a regular style of agenda with the studio, TC Passios as the place. Is 6 o'clock still good? Hearing nothing, I'm assuming it's still good. At which point I will entertain Steve.
So the only thing in the charter about, there's a composition of multiple member bodies. It doesn't mention Pacc specifically, but it says all multiple member bodies, when established, shall be composed of an odd number of members. Whenever the terms of office of a multiple member body are for more than 1 year, such terms of office shall be so arranged that as nearly an equal number of terms as is possible will expire each year.
Right.
There may be
Okay.
something in the bylaws specific, but what I would do is when you send the packet in, why don't you ask, I'll volunteer to go to be the odd man out. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Oh,
I can
okay,
volunteer
I
to be
understand.
the odd man out, and then you
Yeah.
can do 2, 2, and 1, if that's possible.
Yeah.
Since you're reappointing me,
Right.
you can reappoint me as a 2-year,
2-year
1 year,
member.
whatever you want.
That's great.
Gotcha.
And
That's
then that would
providing,
solve Pete's concern, which I agree with.
no, I agree with it.
All left.
That requires that when Jeff and I are up for renewal, it's not when you would be up for renewal.
Right.
Because I don't know when our renewal is. Do you, Jeff?
Yeah, you'll need
So
to figure that
if
out.
it's every 3 years, I
3 years,
I honestly believe you and I were reappointed last summer, so it'll be 2 years.
So that would work.
Well, if you're doing a 2-year, then it'll be
So-
you, I, and Steve, or me and the two Steves. So I wonder if this could be, if Steve could do a 1 year,
Yeah, make me a
and
1
then
year.
then a 2 year. And then
Okay,
that, or a 1
how
year.
about this? Have them look into it and we'll say you're volunteering
I'll
for a
volunteer to
different,
move mine to whatever is needed.
to make it work. That's what I was asking.
Yeah.
I think,
So I
I
could
think,
be a 1 year, I could be a 2 year, depends on you guys.
I believe,
Right, but
Elaine,
we have to, yeah, sorry, Pete.
I believe Elaine Peterson has this all figured out.
Yes.
Well, that's who we get sent to anyway.
Yep.
I don't send it to the Board of Selectmen.
Oh.
So, Steve, do you have the chapter number for that in the charter?
Oh, wait, now I'll have to bring it back. It
Okay,
was like
no.
line 931. Wait, now I have to. It was line number 907 through 910, and it would be section 7-8-G or :G.
Oh, good. Well, thank you for that.
All right. You may want, gosh, it may be in the bylaws because there are bylaws that we're going to have to redo also.
Let me just pose the question. Yeah, thank you.
Elaine will know all of that.
Okay, anyone else have anything relevant or irrelevant or irreverent, whatever works? Fun with
Maybe a good
English
idea.
language.
Be a good idea to start scouting for new locations.
Yep.
Yes.
Oh,
And
yes.
I
yeah,
think that's going to be necessary.
Right. So everyone on their own, put it on the agenda for next month, and then we'll see if we can get some focus on it. That would be great.
Great.
Okay.
Okay, motion to dissolve. No, not dissolve. but
Move
Yeah.
to adjourn.
Second,
No discussion. All those in favor, Pete.
Aye.
Oops.
See? Okay, unanimous. There you go. Thank you very much. I appreciate your tolerance of the medium. And
No
we'll
problem.
see you, really see you in June, all being well. Thank you.
thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye. Have a good month.